Part 2. He said, and many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. We're going to deceive each other, we're going to betray each other, we're going to lie to each other. He says hate one another, but that's hate. All of that is hate. If we're lying to each other, we hate each other. We do. Liars are considered really bad in the eyes of God. Liars are the ones that do not enter the New Jerusalem. Outside of the gate are liars. They're not allowed to be in the presence of God. They're not allowed to be in God's kingdom. Liars are bad people. They are. That's why Jesus came speaking the truth. Because there were a lot of liars of his day. They did not know the truth. They did not speak the truth. They were liars. And Jesus says that is hate. To lie to someone is absolute hate. In order to lie to someone, we have to hate them. He says, then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And he says, lawlessness will abound, and the love of many will grow cold. He says, lawlessness will abound. When we read 1 John tells us that lawlessness is sin. Sin is lawlessness. When we disobey God, that is sin. God gave us the law. He gave us the 10 Commandments. That is our law. And when we disobey, we are lawless. And I know for a fact, because I've seen it with my own eyes, I've participated in it. I even participated in it with the pastors of my church, numerous churches. The indulgence of sin, the indulgence of the flesh, the desire of the eye to be pleasured and entertained, the desires of the things of this world, the desire to have the things the world has made, the desire to have money to buy it, not knowing or seeing that everything that God created is free, but everything that the world has created, that Satan has created, because he is the world, everything that he's created costs money. Everything that Satan has created, we have to pay for. But everything God created is free. We forget that. But I have witnessed it. Lawlessness abounds in our society. Sin abounds in our society. It's abundant. We disobey God's commandments abundantly. Abundantly. We no longer even honor the Sabbath, which was one of the commandments, one of the most important commandments that God gave us. He said, honor the Sabbath. Keep the Sabbath holy. It's the 7th day. It always was the 7th day. It always will be the 7th day. And it even shows us on our calendar today. For some reason, we look over it and we just say, oh, we don't care. It doesn't matter. But even on our calendar that we still use to this day, still shows the 7th day as Saturday. Still shows it. It hasn't been changed. And we're still okay with it. We still look over it. We still do not care about the true Sabbath, the one that God founded, the one that He created. It's a Saturday. And this world has deceived us and convinced us that it's okay to do anything else we want to do on a Saturday other than honor God on it. Other than resting on it. We have so many activities that we do every Saturday. We are always doing something on a Saturday. Always. We're not resting. We're not honoring God in it. We're entertaining ourselves. We're watching football games. We're watching basketball games. We're going to sporting events. We're going on picnics. We're going on boat rides. We're going on whatever we do. We do everything we do. Usually is on a Saturday. The world has created it to be that way. The world has deceived us into thinking that it's okay to do whatever we want to do on the Sabbath. The world has deceived us into believing that that is okay. We've created our own Sabbath on a Sunday. And even then we don't keep it holy because we still entertain ourselves. We still go to a restaurant and make someone wait on us and serve us on a day that we're supposed to rest, on a day that God ordained and created and says, keep it holy. We indulge into the desires of our flesh. And we don't care. We do not care. We blaspheme God every Saturday and Sunday, claiming that that's our Sabbath. I know this to be true because I did it. I did it with the leaders of the church, with the pastors, with the music ministers, the assistant pastors. I did it with all of them. They do it. And we are not honoring God. We are a lawless society. We are lawless people. We sin constantly. And we do not care. Do not care. It doesn't matter what God said. That's what we think. It doesn't matter what God said because Jesus died. Everything God said, everything that God was, it's all gone. It doesn't matter anymore because Jesus died. That is not what Jesus died for. Not. That is the opposite of what Jesus died for. Jesus died so that we could have the access to the Comforter, the same Holy Spirit that He was filled with, so that we could overcome sin, overcome the world, separate ourselves from it, not depend on it, not be deceived by it, not live for it, not live for money, which is mammon. How do we not see that in the Bible? Scholars, theologians, pastors, why can we not see that in the Bible? We cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is money, and we ask for it every Sunday. We live for it, we want it, we desire it, and we make sure we remember to some congregations, it's like a cult in there when it comes to giving money. They start clapping and hollering and hooting like Alabama just scored the winning touchdown for the season to win the championship. I mean, they went crazy when it was time to tithe. It's like that money was important. We've made money more important than God. We are born into that society and we've been conditioned to believe that that is okay. But it is not. It is sin, it leads to sin, and desire for it is sinful. We have to separate ourselves from it. Not ask for it in church. Jesus never preached for a dime. Ever. His disciples never preached for a dime. They shared the gospel for free. Never asked anybody for anything. And we've convinced ourselves because of something that Paul said that it's okay to ask for money. That we deserved it, we should get it. Even though Jesus himself didn't do it. How do we take something that Paul said and make it more important than Jesus? We have deceived ourselves. We have been deceived. We have been led by blind shepherds. And we are blind if we believe that. We are to follow Jesus. Follow Jesus. Do as he did. Turn away from the world as he did. Say no to it the way he did. Satan offered it to him and Jesus said no. Satan offers it to us and we're willing to do it our whole entire life. We work for it. We ask for it. The pastors in the churches, they want people to go to work and make money so they can bring money to them on Sunday. They ask for it. They want it. They want the people in the congregation to go to work, make lots of money, and bring it to the church. And some of them even say, when you get a raise, that's a blessing from God. Make sure you bring the extra 10%. The fact that we've even made a carved image, God's tithe, blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind that we've allowed that to happen. We have taken a carved image, something that the world has created. A carved image, something the world has created, something man-made. It's a man-made thing. Whether it's a dollar bill, a coin, or check, or credit card, it's all man-made. That's what carved means. Man made it. And we worship it. We serve it. We worship a carved image. A carved image is an idol. It's idol worship. That's what that is. We worship an idol. How have we been so deceived that we can't see that? Come on, pastors. You're supposed to be men of God. How can you not know this? How can you claim to be a man of God and not know this? Money is not God's tithe. God's tithe has always been something He created. It always will be something He created. Not man-made things, not carved images, it's a carved image that we've given a value. Think about that. That's all money is. It's something that we created and we put a value to it. We put the value to it. We did. We value it. The same way we value it when we ask people to bring it to us every Sunday and give it to God. God's not asking for something He didn't make. Hear me. That is not His tithe. Lawlessness abounds in our society, in God's people, in His church. Lawlessness abounds. And the love of many will grow cold. It's the next thing Jesus says. The love of many will grow cold. When I read that, I think of our love for our Creator has grown cold. Our love for God does not exist. We do not honor Him. We don't care about Him. We do not care about His commandments. We don't care what He said. We don't even make an effort to know His commandments, most of us. Not truly know them. Sometimes we can memorize them just so that we can say them, but we don't truly know them. The fact that we worship money, not knowing that it's an idol, not knowing that it's a carved image. The second commandment, we don't care. We do it anyway. We do it anyway. We worship it. We serve money our entire life. When you serve something, that means you worked for it. The Sabbath, we don't care. Even though our calendar shows us the seventh day is Saturday, even though we know if we look in history the seventh day was Saturday, we've allowed it to be changed to Sunday, and we're okay with it. Because the world says it's okay. We're taught that it's okay. We go to school and we're taught that it's okay. We go to church and we're taught that it's okay. We're taught that it's okay. Jesus says it's not okay. The Holy Spirit says it's not okay to disobey your Creator. It's not okay to not honor His commandments. It's not okay. It's not. And if you believe it's okay, you're blind. And you're being led by a blind shepherd if someone's telling you that. It's not okay to disobey God's commandments. And our love for God has grown cold. It has. We live however we want. We do whatever we want. We even call ourselves sinners because we've convinced ourselves because of something that Paul said that it's okay to sin. We've convinced ourselves of that because something that Paul said, again, we put Paul on a pedestal instead of Jesus. Paul told us himself, he said, "Do not put me on a pedestal. You worship Jesus. Serve Him. Serve Jesus. Do what He did. Think the way He thought." Jesus loved God. Jesus didn't sin. He chose not to. He chose to obey God's commandments. He chose to overcome the world. He chose not to give in to any of the things that Satan created. He chose not to. And He tells us to follow Him. Do as I did. Don't desire the things the world has made. Don't desire money. Follow me. Turn away from the world. Turn away from mammon. Don't give in to it. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Remember, it's the most important. First thing I told you, do not be deceived above everything else. Remember that. He goes on to say, "But he who endures to the end shall be saved." He who endures to the end shall be saved. We haven't gotten to the end yet. But we have to keep enduring through everything that's going to happen. Through everything that we're going to experience. The things that we're experiencing today, the deception that we're experiencing today, the lawlessness that we're living in today. Do not give in to that. Do not believe it. Do not be deceived by it. Do not think that it's okay. He's telling His disciples, remember, He's speaking to the ones that truly believe in Him. He's telling them, don't be deceived by any of that. These things are going to happen, but don't be deceived. Keep enduring. Keep going. Keep going to the end, and you will be saved. Don't give in to the deception. Don't be blinded. He says, "This gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come." He says, this gospel, the one that I'm preaching, the one that I'm teaching you, the gospel that I've been showing you these years that I've been with you, this gospel, this truth will be preached in all the nations. Everyone will know it. That's what He's saying. This gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Then the end will come. Prior to today, the gospel has not been able to be preached to all the world as a witness. It's been spreading over time, over the past 2,000 something years since Jesus died on the cross. It's been spreading, verbally spreading, and people have been talking about it. And people have been discussing Jesus and speaking about him. But he's telling his disciples, he said, this gospel of the kingdom, this gospel, once it's preached all over the world, then the end will come. Once everyone has an opportunity to hear the truth, once it's preached all over the world, then the end will come. We have technology that exists today that has been created. I'm on one such device right now. Is it my desire to have this device? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I'm getting rid of it very soon. We have already made plans to get rid of it. I'm about to separate myself and my family from it. We are leaving it behind. I can't live for it anymore. I can't participate in it anymore. I know that it's sin. I know that I'm living for the world. I know that I've chosen mammon by being in this society. And I'm separating me and my family from it. We're leaving. We're getting away from it. But right now, I have access to this device and I'm using it for God's glory. And I know some people can say, well, that means that it's good. God created it. No, this is every bit evil. This device that I'm using right now, this cell phone to make a recording, it is pure, absolute evil. God never intended for a cell phone to exist. That was not his design. It was not his creation. Can God use anything that he wants? Absolutely. It's all his. It belongs to God. Satan is controlled by God. God has power over Satan. God has control over all of it. If God chooses to use something that Satan made, he can choose to do so. Have no misunderstanding and have no doubt. This phone was created for evil. It was created for evil. And it is used abundantly for that. But I'm using it right now for good, and God is using something that Satan made for good at this moment. But it does not make it okay to have one. We're getting rid of all of this stuff. But right now, I'm going to use this device that Satan made, and I'm going to use it for God's glory. And I'm going to make this recording on it in hopes that it is shared throughout the world, because it is important that we know the truth. It is important that we know the truth, the true gospel of Jesus. It's important that we know the truth about him. It's important that we overcome the deception that exists in our world and in our society and the things that have been created in our minds and taught to us. One of those we're about to talk about here soon, the rapture. That's actually what we're leading up to. The biggest deception ever created in our society is the rapture. That's what prompted me to make this recording, because there is a deception, there is a lie that has been created about a rapture. And it is one of Satan's biggest deceptions. It's absolutely evil. It's absolutely evil. This concludes part 2 of our 4-part series, The Rapture Revelation. I want to thank you for listening up to this point. Please continue on to part 3 to continue our study of what Jesus said about the end times and the rapture. Thank you again for listening.